So once he came into power, the first move that he did is, as we all might recall, that Germany, Rhineland was taken away from Germany and given to France. Actually, not given, but really, Rhineland was demilitarized, meaning no weapons was to be in Rhineland. And this was done with the sole aim of making sure that France is safe from future attacks from Germany. And when Hitler came to power, the first challenge, or the first treaty, or the first term that he wanted to challenge was Rhineland. He was perfectly aware that France would not act because of Rhineland, because Rhineland was inside Germany, and the only concern was it was demilitarized. And Hitler was also a gambler, we know. He was a great gambler. He knew that Britain would not act because of Rhineland. And he knew that if France is not having the support of Britain, they would also not act. And for that matter, he sent his soldiers to go into Rhineland and remilitarize it. And one of the orders that they were given is, if the French soldiers come and stop you, do not hesitate, but come back, do not fight them, because it was a chance that he was taking. He knew his army was not strong, was not that strong to fight Hitler, to fight the French, so they gambled. And they got away with a gamble. The German soldiers went into Rhineland with weapons and remilitarized it, and the news spread like fire, and France did nothing, and it was a victory for Hitler. And the people inside Germany started to trust this man, that he is doing what he promised the people to do, and that is breaking the Treaty of Versailles systematically, slowly, until he gets back all the things that this treaty have taken away from the Germans. So the Rhineland issue is one of the first incidents that happened, which made the world aware that Hitler has arrived and he meant business. So after the Rhineland, another issue that he gambled with was the issue of the Saar. The Saar was taken by the treaty and given to France to supervise because of the resources that were there, and through the reparations. What he did is basically he mobilized people to opt for a plebiscite, in which a referendum was held and people voted that they want to be part of a great Germany. And through the Nazi propaganda, which was so good, these people decided that they want to be part of Germany, and the 90-something% of the people indicated through the referendum that we want to be part of a great Germany, not what the treaty, what the League have decided of how they should be. And that was another victory for Hitler as a person. The issue of Austria, a lot happened there. First, in 1934, he wanted to do the same gamble of sending in soldiers to take Austria. But there was another dictator, Benito Mussolini, we might know him, that he was very careful, because at the beginning they were not friends at all, and he did not support the idea that Hitler must send in soldiers and just go and take over Austria. For that matter, he also sent his soldiers to be on alert once Hitler sent in soldiers into Austria, for them to be able to stop him. And Hitler was very conscious of that. He was aware, and once he sent the soldiers in, they sent them to the border, and they found the Italian soldiers there, and they simply turned back. They did not fight the Italians. They went back according to the instructions of Hitler. And what basically happened at the end is he did not withdraw from taking Austria in 1934 because he felt that he could not. He thought certain things were still not right. For example, he needed to bring Benito Mussolini on his side, because he knew Benito Mussolini's army was very much stronger than his. So he needed to convince this man to come to his side, to be a friend, to be an ally, before he can opt for occupying or taking over or invading Austria. And this happened later, after they have become friends, after they signed numerous pacts between the two countries. They saw that the time was now right for him to take Austria. And he did that perfectly, systematically, without no fear. And Britain and France had to stand there and watch Hitler invading Austria without any opposition. And that was another great step for the dictator to show the world that Hitler has arrived. France was always willing to act, but Britain, their main ally, was not ready to act. In most cases, like at the issue of Austria, they sympathized with the Austrians, they sympathized with the Germans, saying that Hitler was correct to occupy Austria because many of the people who were in Austria were German speaking. Hitler himself was born in Austria. So it went by, and the Anschluss was concluded. The reunion of the Union of Austria into a great Germany was achieved. Another incident of the collapse of international order was the issue of the appeasement, where the Germans wanted an area called Sudetenland in Austria, and Hitler started his tactic of saying, I want those people back in Germany, and I'm going to take that area. And when the British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain heard of this, he came and started to negotiate with Hitler. There were several meetings between the two leaders, and they agreed on the final meeting that was held in Munich, and they agreed to give Sudetenland to Hitler with an aim of appeasing him, making him happy so that war does not break out. They thought they could trust Hitler, but they never knew that Hitler was playing a much different game from what they were saying. I remember some of the sources saying Chamberlain was warned by his own politicians in his country. People like Winston Churchill told him not to agree to the games that Hitler is playing. But yes, he thought he's saving the world. He was talking of peace in their times. And what happened? At the end, nothing happened. Hitler got Sudetenland, and after some few days, took the whole of Austria and break what they have agreed. Because he promised them that after Sudetenland is given to him, he won't make any territorial demands. And what happened? He took the whole of Czechoslovakia, and Chamberlain was left surprised and astonished. And at the end, after taking the whole of Czechoslovakia, he made it very clear that my next target is Poland. Poland must come under the great Germany. And Britain and France now were convinced that Hitler is not stopping. And they promised that once he invades Poland, they will declare war on Hitler. Hitler also miscalculated because he thought, well, they are just bluffing like usual. And at the end of the day, he went into Austria. But there was the issue of the Nazi-Soviet pact first. Before he took that area, he signed a pact with the Russian leader Joseph Stalin. They signed what was known by then as the Nazi-Soviet pact, where they have agreed to work together, and secretly also agreed that they will divide Poland between them, one person taking one part and the other one taking the other part of Poland. And they also signed a lot of things. The pact was quite a detailed pact, explaining many things that the two countries would share between the two of them. So it is advisable for you to go and read the inside details of this pact that it was signed. But as Hitler, being Hitler as he was, he never honored what he said, and at the end of the day he ended up breaking that Nazi-Soviet pact himself by taking the whole Poland for himself. And then after taking Poland, he targeted, he said he wanted the whole of Russia, as big as it is, because it was initially his whole idea from Mein Kampf. He said Germany needed Lebensraum, more land, more living space. And this living space that he was referring to was not to the west, it was to the east. And when you look at the map, to the east that he was referring to was Russia. So it was clear that his target was to go and invade Russia one day. And that is what cost him the war. Now he had to fight a war against Russia, which was a very powerful country up to now, and fight the Western countries from the left and Russia from the east. So Germany had to fight two fronts, war from the east, war from the west. And this, I think, as a historian, I believe this caused Hitler to lose the war. If he could have concentrated only on one side against the east, or only against the east, obviously he could have defeated the Russians. But he opted to fight a war from two sides, which cost him this war. And that is how he systematically broke different agreements in the 1930s. And officially in 1939, when after taking Poland, war was declared and World War II started from 1939 to 1945. And in 1945, he committed suicide after seeing that his forces were defeated at the battlefield. He committed suicide, first killed his wife, Braun, and then himself. And the Nazis were defeated, and the majority that were captured were put on trial, popularly known as the Nuremberg Trials, where they were asked of all the crimes that the Nazis have committed since 1933. So, in short, dear learners, that is what I can sum up on what happened during the collapse of international order. So your questions will be centered around some of those things. There might be some that I've left behind, but those are mainly what you should expect for examiners to ask you when it comes to the collapse of international order or Hitler's foreign policies. I believe your questions are now welcome for me to entertain them.